Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your favorite baseball podcast. It is episode 64, a perfect number right there, of losses above replacement. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LAR_baseball. Check out our YouTube page. We have a nice number of subscribers right now. But before we get too far, Alex, cue the intro.
It's time for Losses of a Replacement, episode 64 with Alex, Mac, and Splash.
That
Beautiful.
was
Almost as
wonderful.
beautiful as our right fielder list that we're going to get into in a little bit. But first of all, it's actually second of all, I guess, after the intro music. Mac, Alex, how are you guys doing?
Doing doing pretty good over here. It's been just getting a lot of work done. I've been learning some more things. I've actually been upgrading my tech a little bit here so I can have a dual screen setup when I'm doing my podcast now. I have my notes to the right. I can see your beautiful faces here on my left. And you know what? So, we're making do. Making do.
Yeah, I'd say I had a pretty fun weekend. I went to Maryland, saw some of my old. I went to see my alma mater compete in conference championships, but I also got to spend some time with my old coaches, hung out with them on Saturday night, and then before going to the train station on Sunday, I swung by the prelim session of the meet. So yeah, I had a pretty good weekend and getting kind of cold here, which I think Punxsutawney Phil lied to us all about the early spring because that is nonsense. But other than that, yeah, I'm just kind of hanging in there, you know.
It'd be like that. I got the flu right after we stopped recording, like within an hour, not even within an hour, within 5 minutes of us stopping recording last Monday, I had a 101-degree fever. So that was not a fun time. But, I'm only slightly coughing now. It's pretty bad, but it's only slightly now. But
That's
speaking of
that's a step
slightly
forward.
bad, we are not talking about left fielders today. We can keep them in the garbage, respectfully. We're going to talk about the better corner outfield spot. That's right fielders. We have a lot of fun right fielders to talk about. We're each going to give you our top five from 5 to 1. Remember last year we all had Aaron Judge at number 1. Aaron Judge is no longer a right fielder. He's in center. Someone else that's not in right field, Mookie Betts, who is number 2 for both of you and number 3 for me. He's at second base. We've talked about both of those players at length. Now we get 5 new players. So, fellas, Mac will hand it off to you. Who is your number 5 right fielder in the game?
So I'll preface this with some here's some acknowledgments here, which is that I had a very tough time picking, I'd say, between numbers 4 and 6. And really, this is a position with a lot of star power. It's very top heavy, but there are a lot of superstars, in my opinion, at this position. So starting at number 5, I have Corbin Carroll, the reigning National League Rookie of the Year. It was really tough to pick between him and Adolis Garcia. But I think overall, Carroll does a little bit more offensively. I'm specifically pointing to his 54 stolen bases. That to go along with 25 homers and 10 triples and 30 doubles. He cut his strikeout rate down, which is really good, 19.4%. His walk rate went up to 8.8%. His hard hit rate went up considerably. His fly ball rate went up. And I mean, as indicated by those stolen bases, he's a very, very fast man, averaging 30.1 feet per second for his sprint speed, which is in the 99th percentile. His range it's solid, I would say. I wouldn't say it's spectacular. He does not have a good throwing arm, but he played a lot of left field last year. He's going to be playing a lot of right field this year, which he was above average in right field too. So I'm looking forward to what year 2, I guess we can call it year 2, the second full season of Corbin Carroll. I'm looking forward to seeing what he has in store for us because he's only going to be 24 and he's already shown he's a pretty elite player.
Yeah. No, I completely get and understand that. Like, Corbin Carroll is on my list, but he is not number 5. Here, my number 5 guy is Kyle Tucker. I think that Tucker is a great player, and to give you kind of an idea, I've had some problems with Astros players, but the fact that he still made this shows how good he is at this point. You take a look at what he's expected to do in 2024. He has some pretty impressive metrics to look up to right now. A pretty decent walk rate at 11%, with a strikeout rating of actually a fairly low 15%. Again, all these according to Fangraphs here. But one thing I like about Kyle Tucker is that he's like an all-around player in Mario Baseball, right? He can do everything pretty darn well. Is he elite at anything? No, not really. But is he very, very good at basically everything? Yeah, he is. He can hit home runs. He can even steal some bags. He drives runners in. He's pretty fast, pretty decent at the plate when it comes to discipline and patience here, and hits the ball hard as well. So honestly, with it, you take a look at him, and yeah, he has a negative defensive WAR, but I still think he's a decent right fielder. Right fielder is one of the positions where you can kind of get away with maybe a little bit more lackluster defense, but I don't think he has that. I think he has pretty solid defense overall. So he's my number 5.
Yeah, both of you guys went in a different direction than I did at number 5. I have Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers, playoff hero for them. Of course, he did miss a chunk of the World Series, but he had a big home run in Game 1 and was ALCS MVP if memory serves. He had a big year, 836 OPS, 39 home runs, didn't steal quite as many bases. The batted ball metrics are very good. 90th percentile expected WOBA, 93rd percentile expected slug, 90th percentile and a better in average exit velo, barrel rate, hard hit rate, batting runs. Has an absolute hose in right, and he's a all right like range player, but he has an elite arm in right. And that was the difference to me between Garcia and Tucker, that I think at the plate you're going to get pretty similar production. Tucker is a great base runner, not very fast, but he's a great base runner. Garcia has been a base stealer at times. He stole 25 bags last year, was down to just 9 in 2023 though. But the fielding, I think Garcia is a touch better. Tucker is a former Gold Glover, but he took a step back in 2023. So very similar profiles, very similar players to me. A 5 versus a 6 here, and it's just unfortunate for them that a guy like Corbin Carroll, a guy like Juan Soto, a guy like Fernando Tatis, they're all playing right field now, because otherwise they might be just 2 and 3 in my list. But I'll keep it rolling with Corbin Carroll at number 4. Absolute wizard on the base pass. He had one of the highest base runs values in the history of the sport. Check Fangraphs, check Baseball Reference. Like, this guy's a historically dominant base runner, base stealer. Stolen bases were up league wide. Absolutely. He stole 54 bags, was not getting caught. This was not a case of he's going to steal 70 and get caught 20 times. No, he's going to steal 50 and get caught like 4 times. Right. He was good at the plate. The numbers under the hood, not quite amazing. Only a 344 expected WOBA, which is 72nd percentile. But I think he's a guy that will be able to consistently outperform his expected batting metrics because of his speed, and because of his ability to, make something out of nothing, right? A lot of singles that he'll turn into doubles, a lot of doubles that he can turn into triples, a lot of infield stuff that he'll just be on first base, and then he's going to steal second, he might steal third. Just a tremendous base runner, an elite speed guy, over 30 feet per second. Like Max said, not the best glove. His range is fine. He is uber fast and he can make plays, but he has one of the weaker arms in the outfield. The next step for him, I think, is the more like consistent profile. He hit 285, maybe get that closer to 300, maybe get that on base a little closer to like 380, 400. He was a 8.8% walk guy, maybe get that to 10%. But he's already an excellent player, and he's already my number 4. So let's go to Alex for his number 4.
All right, so for my number 4 here, I'm going with Corbin Carroll, who I mentioned just a moment ago. I think that Corbin Carroll is an absolutely phenomenal ball player. And the only reason why he's not higher to me on this list, well, there's 2 reasons, I should say. 1 through 3 are legendarily great. But also, I really want to see what Corbin is going to do this coming year. A lot of players have what we call like the sophomore slump, where they have an amazing rookie year, and then it's year 2 where they prove whether or not they could be in the league. So I think he can. He has all the tools that make him a superstar. I mean, like going into this coming year, right? He's expected to be one of the best base stealers in the game. Not the best, but one of the best. They're projected at about 42 steals. He has arguably the best speed of anybody in baseball. Great defense. The bat was always going to be the question with him. That's what we were talking about going into last year. And he proved that not only was he good with the bat, he was elite with it. Dropping down a bunt, hitting a home run, just lacing it into the outfield and legging out a double, maybe even a triple. He was an excellent hitter. The only question for him, in my opinion, right now is what is he going to do now in that sophomore year? If he can keep it up, even with the guys that I have at 1 through 3, he may start to rise up those charts here. The elite combination of a great bat and great speed is something that is very, very rare.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious about is Corbin Carroll. I mean, his second year in the league, I think he could go from being great to being like just all around elite, like being a potential top 15 player in the sport, top 10 player in the sport, like because he has all the tools, you know. But at number 4, I have Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, I will admit that going into this year, I was very skeptical of having him in the outfield because he had never played the outfield before. He was a shortstop in the majors, and he was coming off the PED suspension. And you know, offensively, it was a weird year, I would say, because his surface stats, you know, only a 770 OPS, only hit 257 with a 322 on base, 449 slugging. Those are all career lows for him. But he still hit 25 homers, still stole 29 bases. But his Statcast page is a lot of red. He underperformed his metrics in a lot of ways. A 364 expected WOBA, 281 expected batting average, 508 expected slugging percentage. Still had an average exit velocity of 91.9 miles per hour and a hard hit rate of 49.3%. He cut his strikeout rate down too. That was his biggest weakness, in my opinion, in his offensive game. Was he struck out close to 30% of the time every single year. But he cut it down to 22.2%. Defensively is where I was most impressed. Very, 9 outs above average. His arm value was in the 94th percentile. His arm strength was in the 99th percentile. Average arm strength of 96.6 miles per hour. And he's still a fast runner, 29.3 feet per second. So I think Tatis, there's a high likelihood he's higher on this list when we do it next year because I think his batting statistics will even out. I don't think he's going to be as disappointing as he was this year. And I think his defense is really good overall. So Tatis is number 4, but I can see why he could be higher.
Yeah, for sure. So some fun names. I think we've all have different lists, all have some spice of life variety here. I'll go ahead with my number 3. I have Juan Soto, now of the New York Yankees. Can you believe it? Side note,
Oh boy, I still
can we
can't, honestly.
why
That
is
just
one of the
feels
best
wrong,
young
man.
players ever? Why is one of the best young players in the history of the sport on his 3rd different team before the end of his contract? Come on now.
It honestly, before you said that, I hadn't even thought of that.
That's true. Yeah,
or to give me on his 3rd team. My God, and
This
he's only
guy had a
25.
career 945 OPS, a career on base percentage over 420. Blaze it. What are we doing here? Anyways, Soto is an unbelievable talent. His StatCast is littered with red. He has a 408 expected WOBA last year. For his career, he's at a 409. So he had a down year last year, and he hit 35 home runs and walked 135 times. He's just a star, man. Can't field. He's a butcher out there, but he's going to be in the short porch in Yankee Stadium, so he should be all right. He's going to get on base 40% of the time plus. Please hit him ahead of Aaron Judge. Just do that, please. He's awesome. The fielding, not great. The base running, not great. Who cares? He's gonna hit. He's gonna rake. He's gonna be nominally probably not a 3-4-5 slash line guy, but maybe like a 280, 400, 500 guy. I could see that. Just an excellent player, future Hall of Famer, and he's gonna get a bag next offseason. I kind of want to see it in New York so you get that Soto Judge for years and years, but hopefully it's as long as it's not the Mets, we'll be fine.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, he's gonna get a bag from someone. Hopefully not Papa Cohen.
I mean, there's a non-zero chance it is Papa Cohen. I'm just throwing it out there.
I might need to
But
waterboard you there, pal. I might need to.
I don't
I might need
honestly.
to step in.
I'll
I
be
think
honest.
Can we just please agree that he doesn't go to the Astros? Just please no.
Well, yeah, obviously he's not.
he's gonna
Just
hit like
Also,
how many? Imagine how many home runs he would hit at that ballpark, though.
oh
I know.
God,
Please don't speak into existence.
you
Please
Granted,
do
know,
not.
yo, if he went to Seattle,
honestly,
he'd hit like 8 home runs a year, so it could be
Oh come on, with there.
okay.
No, he'd be
Actually,
better than
he was
that.
actually Seattle's one of his higher expected home run parks last year. He was expected at 36 if he played all of his games at
yeah,
T-Mobile.
I,
Hmm.
I I wonder honestly is um if any team other than the Mets and the Yankees will be in on him because
Dodgers.
those are okay. The thing is, the Mets and Yankees are the only teams I've heard remotely linked to him. That's the
Good
thing.
point.
But anyways, he's not my number three right
Ooh,
fielder.
Chicago would be either.
With
Actually,
Chicago
the Cubs would be
Cubs,
fascinating.
obviously he's not going to the White Sox. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I apologize, White Sox
Now,
fans, but he's not going
Soto.
there.
No, if you had Soto, Robert, Nicky Lopez, Michael Soroka. Ooh, that's a fun team.
Okay, well, anyways, my number three right fielder is Kyle Tucker. I think Kyle Tucker is almost underrated. I feel like our guys at least my guys at number one and two get a lot of attention, obviously, and rightfully so. They're great players. They're some of the best in the game. But Tucker, he almost had a 30-30 season, and it feels like it was like a blip in the radar. He hit 29 homers, stole 30 bases, drove in an American League leading 112 runs, batted 284 with a 369 on base and 517 slugging for an 886 OPS, the second highest he's had in a full season. You look at his StatCast page, and it's a lot of red. 95th percentile in expected WOBA, 94th in expected batting average, 93rd in expected slugging. He sort of checks all the boxes offensively. Yeah, like Splash mentioned, he doesn't have elite sprint speed, but he stole 30 bases this year, so he's like a solid base runner. His range is suspect. He has a Gold Glove in the past, but I think Tucker. I'm really curious to see if the Astros, if he's the next guy the Astros try to extend. I know he's coming up on free agency in a couple of years, so Tucker, he's just a very good player, and I think he's number three on the list.
All right, I'll have it in my number three then as well. And I'm gonna agree here with Splash. Sorry, Yankee fans, but Juan Soto's only number three. Now, hear me out for a second. If it was just a hitting list, there's a very real case that Juan Soto should be number one. I'm not going to say that he is, but there's a case for it. The only thing that's really holding Juan Soto down is that defense. He doesn't have defense. Watching him play defense is pretty suspect. But when he has a bat in his hands, that's why these kids are trading him around, because they just want to have that bit of what he could do when he has a bat in his hands and is standing in the box. This dude is one of the best hitters we've ever seen. Looking at what he does here, again, I've really come around on him. The strikeout rates is pretty darn good, but the number that's always going to just shoot out to everybody is the walk rate. According to Fangraphs, is expected to have a 19.4% walk rate. Let me say that one more time. A 19.4%. That means that legitimately, on average, just over 1/5 of his at-bats will end in him standing on first base without even needing to swing the bat. That is uncanny how good he is at the dish, about how good he is about looking for his pitch, fouling off pitches he doesn't like, and getting himself in the perfect position to then also mash on top of it. He's also one of the few guys I've seen here, and this is a really weird stat to me, but I think this is cool, kind of interesting. Guys that we consider as power hitters that have more runs than RBIs. I think that's a really interesting, I should say projected wise for this as well. Projected this coming year to have 116 runs with 104 RBIs. Like, that should tell you just how good he is at getting on base. An expected on base percentage of 426. Like, come on. The biggest issue, though, is that you have to look at the defense, too. Whereas the other two guys that I have on here, a little bit more reliable on the defensive side here. Maybe not the best reliability, but still reliable. as a pure hitter, Juan Soto is one of the best we've seen ever, potentially. So, with all of that being said, that's why he earns the number 3 slot.
I mean, I do see your argument, but Splash, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead with my number 2 because my second best right fielder is Juan Soto. To me, I couldn't see him being anywhere other than number 2. I understand there are arguments for him being potentially number 3, and from a pure offensive standpoint, there's maybe a little bit of an argument he could be number 1, but I was talking about Tucker's Statcast page, but I mean Soto's. I mean, there's just ridiculous amounts of red. It's crazy to think that he, in some ways, has underperformed his batted ball data. But I mean, what more could you ask for this guy? I mean, we're talking about, yeah, maybe it was a disappointing year in some ways, but he still hit 275 with a 410 on base, a 519 slugging, 158 OPS plus, 35 homers, 132 walks, which led the majors. He played in all 162 games too, by the way. His walk rate was a cool 18.6%, compared to an 18.2% strikeout rate. He hits the ball hard. He hits the ball in the air plenty. His ground ball rate did go up. 51% is a little concerning, but it's interesting with Soto. The one blue spot on his batting page is sweet spot percentage, which confuses me. But the other thing that is interesting to me is he only has a 35% swing rate, if you wouldn't believe it. But he also had a career high 55% hard hit rate. So when he does choose to swing, he makes those swings count. His defense is the one thing that holds him back for sure. I mean, only negative 9 outs above average is not great, but I think moving in right field with Aaron Judge playing center, I think he'll be playing in a smaller ballpark, which will help him. I know we've seen that with Yordan Alvarez playing left field with the Crawford boxes, so I think Soto's gonna have a monstrous year. It's a contract year, so I think he might be my AL MVP favorite. And watch out because he's about to get a lot of money.
Yeah, it's really tough to me. I have Fernando Tatis at 2, Soto at 3. Sometimes we forget that Tatis slugged 611 as a shortstop back in 2021. He hit 42 home runs to lead the National League. Yeah, I know he missed 2022 with the PEDs and the injuries. And look, I know he has some off-field stuff like the injuries and the motorcycle accident and the PEDs, but he is a whirlwind of a baseball player. He is as talented as they come, which is saying a lot because considering number 1, but he's a guy, 25 home runs last year, 29 steals. I'm gonna just put him in the 30-30 club. I've announced it. He will hit 30 home runs. He will steal 30 bases. These are not ifs, these are wills. He was a platinum glove level defensive player last year, his first year in right field. I see no reason why that wouldn't continue. He has a fabulous arm. We've always known this. It's just an accuracy issue at times, but he was plenty accurate from the outfield. Great range, great sprint speed, just incredibly toolsy. He hits the ball really hard, and he's a guy that last year the batted ball metrics liked him at 364 expected WOBA, but he only had a 332 real WOBA. But the last 2 seasons he played, 20 and 21, over 400 expected WOBA. His career WOBA before that was 398 in 2019, 392 in 2020, and a 403 in 2021. He's one of the best hitters in the sport, and he's a platinum level glove defensive player. This is like what you wanted to see from Mookie Betts, but it's Fernando Tatis, and he's even faster, and he's even more toolsy, and he's going to actually hit home runs as opposed to really trying to hit home runs like Mookie Betts, the home run derby. Mookie Betts can do a lot of things, but home run derby maybe not his thing. But El Nino, he's my NL MVP pick at 14-1. Go cash that right now. Unbelievable player.
Yeah, for me, I'll go next on this one too. I also have Tatis at number 2, so this is surprising that Splash and I are very agreeant.
Yeah,
on this one.
I'm confused right now, but
I'm very confused. Don't worry, it's fine. But no, I mean, legitimately, I've never been a big fan of Tatis, except for like his rookie or so year. I was a fan of his just because of the whole unwritten rules thing. that was going on with him in Texas. That was funny as hell. But I mean, let's be honest here at this point. Looking at what he does on the field is spectacular. I always had the biggest. There's really only two issues I have with it. Right, those two issues are character concerns, which we've seen from him that there are times where he will just be off the field due to some of these things. He's been linked to steroids now multiple times. There's always going to be that question mark next to him. And the other one, and this isn't even so much of a huge issue, it's just kind of just what you're going to see from him. His his strikeout percentage is a little high, expected to be about 21.6%, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, isn't horrid, but it isn't great. What are the pros when it comes to Tatis? As a hitter, is an absolute masher of the ball. The expected 522 slugging going into 2024. Gets on base at a pretty decently good clip overall. And like Splash said, amazing defense. When we were doing these rankings last year, I brought up that I didn't know how well he was going to transition to being a right fielder. He was been a shortstop, been a third base, and played a little bit of the outfield, but we didn't know how well he was going to do. Well, he became platinum glove level of defender. So you know what? Yeah, for that, he's number 2 on my list. He's proven he can do everything. The only reason why he's not number 1 is because there's another player who is offensively better and has less character concerns, although he does have one question mark to him.
Okay, 1, what was that? And 2, do you want to throw out that I was the only one that ranked Fernando Tatis heading into last season? He was my number 5
I'm
right
already
fielder.
eating crow here, Splash. I don't know what more you want from me here.
That was like, actually, right field was my best ranking because I had a certain number 1 who's about to be number 1. He was number 2 on my list, so I was a little higher than both of you guys on him. But yeah, I'll take the half victory lap, I guess, on Tatis. I thought he would be better at the plate, but he was unbelievable at the field, so I guess it kind of cancels out. But who wants to start at number 1?
How about you do on this one, Splash? Because it's your boys. So
Yeah, I
as far as
wonder
I
who
can tell.
number 1 is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wonder.
Really tough
know. Yeah,
question.
who's
All right,
number 1 here, Mr. Braves fan?
Here we go. My number 1 is Sal Frelick of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, always.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
But no, it's Ronald Acuna. National League MVP unanimously, by the way. 41 home runs, 73 stolen bases, led the league in hits, led the league in runs, led the league in just about everything you could possibly. Led the league in on base percentage. That's over Juan Soto, by the way. 596 slug, 1012 OPS, 337 batting average, which would have led if Luis Arias was human. Then the baseball savant page, 100th percentile in batting runs value, expected WOBA, expected batting average, expected slug, average exit velocity, 98th percentile hard hit rate, 97th percentile strikeout rate. Yes, this is a guy who hit 41 home runs and struck out in 11.4% of his plate appearances. That is bananas how he got such great quality of contact. The best in the league. He was so good that he had an MVP level season and he was still underperforming by the batted ball metrics. It was just ridiculous how many hard hit flyouts he had, even in the playoffs too. He underperformed his batted ball metrics by 32 points of WOBA, and he was still the best player in the world. That is just unbelievable to me. Yeah, the glove, he's regressing. I think part of that is, this was his first full year off the ACL, and I think the Braves have like an understanding with Acuna that you don't need to be diving for plays. You don't need to be like going full tilt in the outfield every single time. I would imagine stolen bases tick down this year. He'd just, go out and get a 40-70 season. Maybe it's a 50-50 season. I don't know. I'm not going to put anything past this guy. He is a superstar. He is as talented of a player I've ever seen play the sport. There's a reason Chipper Jones went on Braves game last year and said that Ronald Acuna might be the most talented player to ever play for the Atlanta Braves. I think Chipper might be right here. Just a historic player, historic season last year, and I can't wait. Just please be healthy, man. I need 160 games a year from Ronald Acuna. That's all I need. That's all I want. Phillies fans, relax with the playoff stuff. Acuna was fine in the playoffs. Come on now. So Ronald Acuna, the best right fielder in baseball. I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at Acuna, obviously he's my number 1. I mean, I think the best way to describe him is you take a look at the other five, the other four that I have on my list, right? Guys that are, Tatis, Soto, Carroll, Tucker. He kind of combines all of them into one player. Hear me out for a second. Kyle Tucker is one of the better all-around players. Guess what? Ronald Acuna doesn't really have anywhere that he is truly at fault. Like, defense, don't get me wrong, isn't great, but it's manageable at the very least. He's got the speed of Corbin Carroll, the power of Juan Soto, potentially more power than Juan Soto. And then when it comes to Tatis on top of it, he's got the star power of Tatis. This is a guy that is the best right field. Last year, having that 40-70 season was just nasty. Splash is just giving me the biggest crap face eating grin right now. But it's fine. Anyway, look, I will admit I was a doubter on him too, but it was because of injury. And I brought up that there was a question mark for the top two here. For Tatis, it was character. For Acuna, it will always be injury. But here's the thing. I'm becoming a little bit more cognizant that you can't really put too much on that. Given the fact here that with Acuna, when he plays, and he's played consistently now at this point, he is arguably one of the most dangerous players in the game. And actually, I don't want to say even arguably, he is one of the most dangerous players in the game. Putting him in that lineup, we talk about players that really can do it all, players that you can't really pitch around. That's Acuna. Because if you pitch around him and you put him on first base, he steals second, steals third. You pitch to him, he hits it over the fence. What more do you want?
Yeah, and the scary thing is that he bats leadoff. So basically, first pitch of the game, there's the threat that he does swing at the first pitch a lot. That's the thing, is that there gonna be a lot of times where you accidentally leave your first pitch of the game over the plate and he just demolishes it. It terrifies me that he's in the National League East still, because this is a guy who I really do enjoy watching play, and he does. It felt like last year he did an amazing thing every single day. I mean, there was maybe a brief stretch for people like, oh, maybe Mookie Betts has a chance at MVP, but like when you hit 40 homers and also steal 70 bases, I mean, who are you going to give the MVP to? Seriously, this man is just like Splash was saying about his Statcast page. It's just red like all over. Even if his sprint speed has come down a bit, I mean, I still expect him to steal at least 30 or 40 bases this year. I still expect him to hit between 35 and 45 home runs, probably. I felt like every time he swung the bat, he did something. He hit the ball hard. He hit the ball in the air a lot. The reason I was down on him initially was because of the injury, because he was not himself in 2022. I thought maybe he had rushed himself back, and that this year he was the best version of himself. He was the version, where everything was clicking. This is what we saw in the first half of 2021, except he was better than that. So, Acuna is the number one right fielder. It's kind of hard to think of any reason he shouldn't be the number one right fielder. He might be the best. He's definitely a top 3, I would say, player in baseball right now. I mean, he's just what more is there to say about him? And this is coming from a Mets fan. You know how hard it is to have Mets fans admittedly praise a player on the Braves. Yeah, so Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, there isn't much more to say about him. He's just amazing.
And Mets fans can be excited about his brother.
Yeah, I'm really
This is
excited about
true.
Luis Angel. I will say that much.
So that should be fun here in the next couple of years. So there's our list, our right fielder rankings. A little bit of a change from last year. Quick question before we move on. If Aaron Judge was considered a right fielder, is Judge 1 or is Ronald Acuna Jr. number 1?
I think
I think this
this
is as close as it gets.
That's
honestly.
the thing, is that I think. Oh my God, it's incredibly difficult.
All right, I'll give you my answer on this one. I think Judge is number 1, purely because I think Judge's defense is a good bit better. I think they both are very good with the bat. I think that Acuna definitely has better speed than him, and So it's basically, what do you want better, great defense or great speed? And Acuna, Judge isn't a slouch running either, but he's not going to steal 70 bases. He's not even going to steal 40 bases.
Wait. That means you take Julio over Acuna as well?
Yeah,
Wait,
because I'm a
what?
homer. I'll take
Oh
that.
my goodness, Alex, you're killing me, man.
I'm okay with this.
I think,
Okay.
you know,
I think Acuna and Judge are 1 and 2. I
Here's-
don't really care the order
some
as long
way,
as Otani's
yes.
not pitching. With the caveat that Otani's not pitching. With that caveat,
Splash,
number 1 and number 2 in the league are Acuna and Judge in some order.
here's
Yeah.
the other thing though. Just to remember real quick, we were too similar on our lists. I had to bring back the difference.
Oh my
I had to
goodness.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm glad we're not doing like a top 5 players in baseball, because Alex's list would be like Julio, Cal Raleigh, Dominic Canzone, George Kirby, and
Mitch Haniger.
Daniel Vogelbach.
I mean, to be fair, your
Oh.
list would just be then Ronald Acuna Jr., Eddie Rosario.
Eddie Rosario's not on the Braves, pal.
Don't care.
I'll throw it out there that if we're taking like the healthiest versions of both players, I think I go with Judge just
I think so, too.
marginally.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that Judge was hurt a lot last year, but when he was healthy, like, man, he was on pace to hit 57 homers, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Like, you know, that's the only thing that really would put Judge ahead of him. Is when they're both fully healthy, they both can do historic things. I'm taking Judge by a smidge, maybe, but
Mhm.
it's like a 1A.
I mean, Judge had
situation.
what, an 11 war season 2 years ago?
Yeah, where he had like
I mean,
over 200 OPS plus and
Yeah.
hit 62 homers. But
now
that's not the,
listen.
I don't know.
If Ronald and Judge hit like they're expected to,
Oh my God,
we
they're
might
gonna break
have
baseball.
like 1998 all over again here.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Like if Acuna, imagine if Acuna outperformed his batted ball metrics. Just imagine that world for a moment. If he would, instead of being 32 points
I'm
under,
terrified thinking about it.
he would have a darn near 500 WOBA. That's like prime Barry Bonds WOBA. Actually, that might be. I think Bonds
Did
was
we have
definitely
those stats?
around 500. They had WOBA. They did not.
Oh, wow. What?
Imagine Barry Bonds expected WOBA
Oh no, dude!
with the walks and the
would break
quality of
Statcast.
contact. Oh darn! They don't have it. I think that might be a pull up on.
He retired
baseball.
in 2007.
Yes.
So
So they have his OPS on Statcast, but I don't. Doesn't look like they have WOBA. They have his spray charts are fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in a rabbit hole. My apologies.
yeah,
Yeah, this
I was
Barry
about to
Bonds
say, I'm
fellow
like,
was
we're about to-
awesome at baseball. Okay, while we transition, we're gonna do some trivia here in a moment. I'm gonna pull up Barry Bonds' Fangraphs page and then laugh maniacally. So Alex,
This is just, but wait, what are you talking about? That's just us normally talking throughout the day.
that's a good point. We should have a podcast, like just a rant, like April Fool's podcast. It's just gonna be us like pulling up. We each have like 3 guys we pull up on Baseball Reference or Fangraphs or whatever, and we just talk about it. I mean, just say, this is peak baseball right here. This is
Well, that's just an actual podcast. Splash.
this is a good point. It's like
yep.
it's like that one year Carlos Silva just decided not to walk anyone. Okay, here we are. Oh my gracious. Okay, Barry Bonds, 2001 to 2004. His WOBAs, 537, 544, 503, 537. This man was not human. That balanced breakfast he had, oh boy, that was one special balance. I wish I had breakfast like that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
can't. You'll just
like
be
Fangraphs
kicked out of
batting.
everywhere you go to.
That's great. He hit 362 with the 609 on base.
And that was as a 40-year-old, by the way.
Oh my!
It's
goodness.
really amazing what you can do, like when you're
Eating a balanced breakfast.
Yeah, when you're eating a balanced breakfast. Well, and also when you're like aging, when you're supposed to be, on the downswing of your career. But it's amazing what you can do though if you just like work out and eat
Grow the old hat
healthy
size.
and just it's just crazy what you can do. Maybe I should try doing that.
37% walk rate in 2004.
Yeah, no, that's literally
double.
video game
Like that's
numbers.
double an elite guy. That's double what Judge did last year. Give or take. Brother,
Yeah.
what? Okay,
Yeah, it's
Barry
crazy.
Bonds could have like 17 of his own podcasts. 164.4 Fangraph scores. So congratulations, Alex. I hope your trivia is as good as Barry Bonds was at baseball. Although,
Yeah, I
forks
agree.
down, bear down, go Cats, boys and girls.
I forgot he went to Arizona
Trident's up,
State.
by the way. Go Mariners. But anyway,
Forks down, Tridents. I don't really care.
Trident's
Forks
up.
down. Forks down.
Trident's up. Anyway, so let's see here. So, okay, it's time for trivia, everyone. I'm getting away from Barry Bonds because I don't want to talk about that anymore. So for your guys' trivia today, we're going to be doing another, I guess you could call it reverse chronological, but not really. This is how well do you remember the 2023 season, specifically the players, the teams and their records? So I have a list here of every team here and their records this year. And what I want you guys to do, going one by one, tell me the team with the best record over 162 games. We it's like going all the way down again. Most wins first, least wins last, and just go in order. You guys are gonna go one after another. First to 3 strikes loses. And after a strike is done, the other person doesn't just skip that one. They have to name that one still, too. All right. Does that make sense? You guys have any questions?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yep. But I'll say this one's a little bit simpler, a little easier. I will say there are teams that do have a tied record. If there's a team that has a tied record, you can give me either or, but they both count for the same place. Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, if there are 2 teams that have, like, say, 86 wins, you'll have one person will give me one, the other one will give me the other.
Sure.
Right. But you can't just skip it once you get to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, with that being said, I have a coin in front of me. I have a special Pokemon Giratina coin that I will be using.
I respect that.
Yep. All right. I believe last time I gave it to Splash. So, Mac, heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails. It is heads. Splash. Would you like to go first, or would you like to go?
Yes, I would like to go first for a very obvious reason.
God.
Yep. All right. Here we go. Splash. What team did the best record-wise in Major League Baseball?
The team that won 104 games. We're not going to talk about the playoffs. The Atlanta Braves. Woo,
the Atlanta Braves is correct.
Yeah.
Is correct. 104 wins, 58 losses to lose in the NLDS. Yeah. So now
Alex, your team didn't make the playoffs, pal. I don't want to hear it.
Yet my team had a better record than a team that made it to the World Series. So that's fun. Anyway,
what?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. You're right. Fair enough.
Yep. All right, Mac. The second team.
I believe this one is the Baltimore Orioles.
Baltimore Orioles is correct. 101 wins, 61 losses. All right, Splash, back to you. The number 3 team.
The only other team to win 100 games, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Dodgers is correct. 100 wins, 62 losses. Mac, on to you. Still no strikes for either side.
Yeah, this team almost won 100 games. The Tampa Bay Rays.
That is correct. The Tampa Bay Rays with a 99-63 record.
Almost had 400 win teams.
Oh, that would have been crazy. Insane.
Then the drop off here is crazy because next up is Milwaukee, who at times wasn't even a good baseball team, and they win 90 plus games.
Yeah, they won 92 games. 92-70 their record. The 5th best team in baseball. That's just fun. That's fun. All right.
Sure, debatable.
Next up. Here, Mac, back to you.
Okay, I believe we've reached a tie here because there are 3 teams that won the same amount of games. So if we have 3 teams, which do I just name one of them? And
yeah, just name one of them.
All right, the Philadelphia Phillies.
Philadelphia Phillies is correct at 90-72. So now, Splash, you would need to name another 90 team.
Yes, the World Series champion, Texas Rangers.
The Texas Rangers is correct. And now, Mac, it is back to you. What was the other 90-win team?
The other team in Texas, the Houston Astros.
Sadly, that is correct. All right. So now, over to Splash.
Let's get that movie trailer rolling, boys and girls. The Toronto Blue Jays.
The Toronto Blue Jays is correct.
I don't know what type of movie they produced.
89-73. Yeah, that is a very good B movie. Anyway. All right, on to you,
like
Mac.
Jazz?
No, that's a different team.
Yeah, that's a different team.
That's still the B movie, though.
I know, but I was going.
Yes.
Yes, correct, but I was
Uh,
also going with
Okay,
Jesse Chisholm.
sure
so.
thing.
All right. The next team I believe is the Seattle Mariners.
The Seattle Mariners is correct, an 88-74 record.
We're gonna go with the Minnesota Twins.
The Twins is also correct, 87-75. So far through now 11 teams, still no strikes. This is impressive. Mac, back to you.
Okay, now I think we're in that weird spot where a bunch of teams won in the mid 80s. So I'm going to go with one of them. And that team will be I think this is another one with the tie, actually, now that I think about it. From 87. Just trying to think the records. My team I'm going to go with is the National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Arizona Diamondbacks is correct at 84-78. That is correct. Splash is back to you.
I'll go ahead and take the other NL playoff team, the Miami Marlins.
You like jazz? That is correct. 84-78. All right, Mac, it is back to you.
Yeah, I have a team that should have made the playoffs, but was incapable of winning after a certain point. The Chicago Cubs.
That is correct. The Cubs at 83-79. You guys are
Couldn't beat the
picking it.
Diamondbacks.
Or
All
the
right.
Braves.
Yeah, couldn't beat the D-backs or the Braves.
All right, Splash, back to you.
We're gonna go with another team that should have made the playoffs, the San Diego Padres.
Padres is correct at 82-80.
I'll go with the team that failed expectations, I'd say, the New York Yankees.
That is correct, also at 82-80.
I'll go with the team that exceeded expectations and narrowly missed the playoffs, the Cincinnati Reds.
The Cincinnati Reds with Ellie De La Cruz is correct, at also at 82-80.
Man,
Gotta
some
love
teams just
those 82
love
win
that.
teams.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a hint here, I guess, at this point, but we are now through all the teams that had a winning record.
Yeah. So I think the team I'm going with finished exactly at 500, the San Francisco Giants.
You are correct. That is the San Francisco Giants. However, they did not finish with an even record. They finished 79-83.
Wow. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So you got, to be fair, that's just now the meme of the how did you get the correct answer with the wrong formula?
Yeah.
But all right, Splash, it's back to you.
I will go with a team that will make the playoffs this year, the Detroit Tigers.
The Detroit Tigers is correct, 78-84.
This is the second time in 3 years I've gone down this path, so please don't let me down this time.
Okay.
Hey,
you chose the Cubs that year, pal. So
I know I did. I ripped big time on that. All right. Second year in a row, this team won 78 games. The Boston Red Sox.
The Bo Sox is correct, and also another team was 78-84.
Yeah, they're going for their third straight 78-84 season.
A true dynasty.
It's like the Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna
Somewhere
go.
Jeff Fisher is smiling.
Yes, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Pirates is correct at 76-86.
All right, this is tough because I feel like there are a lot of teams that won between like 70 and 75 games. I think I'd like to say this team won around that. The Cleveland Guardians.
The Cleveland Guardians is correct, also with a record of 76-86. Still no strikes. This is impressive work,
I'm
gentlemen.
amazed too, honestly.
All right. This team did a lot worse than people thought they did or thought they would do. I think they're going to be a little bit better this year. They might even make the playoffs. The New York Metropolitans.
Yeah, I agree.
Your New York Mets are correct at 75-87.
Okay, and now we've reached the point where I don't know how every team did.
The Gold Rush. These teams were out of contention by July 5th. So
that's the thing. And now I have to remember what teams are still there. I know what teams sucked. By that I mean I know what teams lost over 100 games. So trying to think of the teams that didn't lose 100 games. Man, this is not easy.
The Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, the Savannah Bananas. I'm just trying to think if there's that steep of a drop off from 75. Um, hmm, man, this is pretty difficult. I think we've named 4 teams in that division and 3 in. Okay, I I'd like to say this team is next. The Washington Nationals.
Washington Nationals is incorrect.
What?
That is your first strike for Mac.
Yeah.
All right, Splash. I need the next correct answer.
I believe that is the Shohei Ohtani's, the Los Angeles Angels.
Los Angeles Angels is correct at 73 and 89.
Okay.
All right, Mac, it is
Stinky.
back to you.
Okay. You know what? I think the next team then is the Washington Nationals.
It is the Washington
Yeah,
Nationals.
exactly.
Back to 71 and 91.
Uh,
You were just a little too early.
Yeah.
Just
you know what
a
other
bit
team
outside.
was that bad, but a team that people didn't expect to be that bad?
What
I
team
do
is
know
that?
what team.
Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals here expected to be bad, but not that bad. But it's a correct answer here: 71 and 91, same record as the Nats.
Apparently, they're going to make the playoffs this year. I'm not sold, but
All right,
Yeah,
there
no,
are only
Fangraphs thinks
four.
you're great.
There are only 4 teams left.
Okay, I was about to ask how many teams we had remaining.
Yeah, so I got you.
Um,
I got you.
Okay, now we've reached the teams I believe that lost 100 games.
there's some
So
stinky teams.
yeah, these bottom 4
Stanky.
teams. I feel I'm not saying this to disrespect the players on your team, but they were not particularly good. I believe the next team up are the Colorado Rockies.
Mac, that is your second strike.
What?
It is not the
Oof.
Rockies.
Not the Rockies?
Splash, it is back to you.
This is now the quadruple A affiliate for the Atlanta Braves, the Chicago White Sox.
The Chicago White Sox is correct. 61 and 101 last year. Stinky. All right. Mac, it is back to you.
Yeah, I think I was again 1 spot early. The Colorado Rockies.
You were in fact 1 spot too early again, as it is the
Man.
Colorado Rockies at 59 and 103.
First 100 loss season for them.
That's
Mhm.
crazy because they've had some rough years.
They're always good at home.
And just not they can't win on the
Yeah,
road.
they've
right.
never had a 100 win season, but before this year, they never had a 100 loss season because they were always good enough at home. They're
Yeah,
always
where
bad
they
enough
pass,
on the
yeah.
road to not win 100 games. But
All right, Splash. If you get this right, then you are today's winner. If you get it wrong, there's a chance.
they just paid a man a lot of money.
Mm.
The Kansas City Royals.
Bobby Witt Jr. said, hey, there's a team that won 56 games last year. Let me sign with them forever. And that is exactly correct. It's 56-106, making Splash today's trivia champion.
Thankfully, we don't have to mention the number 30 team that somehow beat the best team in a series.
Yeah, it's funny
That was
because
an amazing time.
both these bottom teams, I believe, had winning streaks of at least 6 games. I know the Royals ripped off like 7 in a
Yes.
row this summer, and Oakland ripped off 6 in a row in the spring. So I don't know if that means anything because I'm pretty sure there was one year I think the Devil Rays one of the years the Devil Rays or it was the Pirates. Yeah, I think it was the Pirates in 2004 rattled off like 12 in a row. They lost 90 games that year, but
It'd be like
they
that.
did win 12 games in a row at one point. So
All right.
It do, in fact, be like that.
I had one, I had a contingency question I'll use anyway.
all right, just
Here,
yeah,
just for
tell
fun.
us.
At this point, how many teams had a positive run differential?
Oh my god,
I'm going to say
positive.
14.
14. Mac, what is your guess?
I'm gonna guess 12.
Mac would have gotten it correct. It was exactly 12.
No,
my God,
The
let's
teams
go.
that had a
Crazy.
positive run differential were the Atlanta Braves, the Baltimore Orioles, Dodgers, Rays, Brewers, Rangers, Astros, Phillies, Blue Jays, Mariners, Twins, and then 2 teams that made the playoffs, and the Diamondbacks and the Marlins had negative run
Yeah,
differentials.
I knew they had negatives.
Yeah,
they had
because the
neg-
Marlins, yeah,
the
they were
Marlins negative
unsustainably
57.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, negative 57, the Diamondbacks negative 15, and then the Cubs and the Padres each with one each
Now,
had a
this
positive run
is pod racing.
yeah. Well, the thing is,
Although
yeah,
there's two funny notes to also say with this as I was doing some research on this. The Boston Red Sox had a -4 run differential despite being 6 games below 500, as well as the New York Mets only were 12 games, 12 runs under. They only had negative 10 run differential, although they were ironically 12 games below 500.
Yeah, here's the difference between a team like the Marlins and a team like the Mets or the Red Sox or the Padres, especially, is that the Marlins were like unbeatable in one-run games. That was the difference. They were like over 20 games over 500 in one-run games, while the Padres, I believe, at one point were like, I'm pretty sure they finished the year like 1-13 in extra inning games.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
Like that,
They
yeah.
eventually won one right at the end.
yeah, they won one towards the end of the season, but like it's just crazy how baseball works like that because the Padres, I think, on paper were easily the better team than the Marlins. I mean, there's a reason I picked the Padres before the season to win the World Series, but the Marlins just like every time they were in a one-run game, they won the game. So yeah, that was crazy. I guess congrats, Flash, on beating me once again in trivia. This is kind of ending up like the Mets and Braves rivalry where I just cannot get a win. Maybe I'll get some more wins eventually.
Hey, maybe you just need to do another one of those. What famous Brave allowed the home run?
Exactly. Yeah. Then I would win. Then I would win every time.
But then you would be doing the trivia. So.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
I
maybe
guess
you just
I would.
you just pay out.
Theory, I'd be winning.
I mean, I'm okay.
Are
with
you
money.
winning, son?
I'm okay with money.
Fair
Anyway,
enough.
but that's trivia. Thank you so much for letting me host.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. Is there a harder word in English than regularly? Regularly?
Yes, there's
Regular-
plenty.
Particularly is another
Yeah.
tough one. Those
Exactly.
Particularly.
those LAR. Hey, I
I was
wonder.
about to say, yeah.
Wow.
those LARLY words are pretty peculiar, if I might say. But anyways, we're gonna wrap up the show like we always do with our time to ourselves. You can tell where I was born and raised.
Did you know he's from Georgia,
Oh my
guys?
It's like it doesn't come out that often, but when it does, oh boy. Anyways, I'm gonna take the reins here. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna count myself to 3, 2, 1. Baseball is back, folks. The Super Bowl over. Hockey, who cares? Basketball, who cares? Baseball is here. College baseball is back. There's a guy at Wake Forest by the name of Chase Burns. I don't know who other people are comparing him to. I see just Yordano Ventura. I just see Yordano Ventura, and I am a huge Yordano Ventura fan. Rest in peace, Ace. I'm not big into college baseball, but hey, Chase Burns, he can pitch, man. The kid from West Virginia can pitch, can hit the short. I think he's a shortstop. Weatherholt, I think that's his name. The kid from Sacramento State was hit 8 times in his first 9 plate appearances. I pray for his rib cage. And I pray for his sanity the rest of the season as he becomes Brandon Geyer. So baseball's back. Tell a friend. Tell a friend to subscribe to the podcast. So baseball, yeah.
Yeah, baseball. I will say that kid that kept getting hit, I'm pretty sure his coaches were Brandon Geyer and Ty France. But that's how it be.
And Mark Canna.
And Mark Canna, yeah, exactly. If it's all right, I'd like to go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'll count myself down in 3, 2, 1. So a bit of a somber thing for me, actually, and it's more just because of what today, the day we're recording this, February 19th, is. Today would have been the 89th birthday of my hero, Dave Niehaus, who passed away years ago. And it's someone that I modeled my broadcasting game afterwards. Being able to paint a picture with your words to make someone feel like they're at their first ball game and can explain it like only he could here. And on that day, I listened to today I listened to My Oh My from Macklemore, and it's again a really good song. Go and give it a listen. But it's a little hard not to be kind of emotional today. Given everything that Dave did for baseball, everything for Seattle, And for me, especially with the day that he passed away, was the day I decided I wanted to go into broadcasting to kind of follow in those footsteps. So rest in peace, Dave, and happy birthday.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even a Mariners fan growing up, and I knew his name, I knew his voice. Like, he was one of those guys. If you were a sports fan, if you were a baseball fan, you knew his voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll go next with mine. I'll count myself down. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, I spent my weekend in Maryland, which was pretty awesome. This was probably the last conference championships I could go to where I actually knew the people on the team, because I graduated in 2021. The class of 2024 were freshmen the year I graduated. So I actually got to spend time with them a lot. And the class of 2025, I have met some of the people in the class of 2026, but I felt like it was kind of important for me to go this year because of my connection to the team. And also, it was just a lights out competition. We had 4 guys who are now leading the nation in their respective disciplines. We had a whole host of team records go down, which is crazy because those are held by some incredibly talented athletes. And I'm just really excited to see that this team, my freshman year, we were borderline top 25. I think we were unranked until the final poll of the year. And now this team is regularly top 10 or top 15. So it's just amazing what a good recruiter can do, and B, just how far the team has come.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome for both Mac and Alex. So, that's the show. That's an hour. Thank you for your time. If you want us to talk more, please check your head, but thank you. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LAR_baseball. We have a YouTube account, Losses Above Replacement. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Splashman19. You can follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. You can follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. If you have any complaints, please reach out to email us. I guess I forget what our email is, but that's irrelevant. Hope you
You
guys
can
have
also just message us on Twitter. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, message us
We
on
try to keep
Twitter
it
or
positive on
Instagram.
Twitter. If you want negative stuff, you can email Alex at LAR Baseball. If you want positive things, email splash at LAR_baseball. No underscore, sorry. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And remember, it's baseball season.
It's baseball season.